Our work is always very immersive, noses into the object and really paying close attention. It's a pretty quiet, solitary kind of activity. I think it's just a lot of fun, and it's kind of invigorating to be talking to young people like that about something that you know quite a bit about, but also to hear what they have to say about it and what they think they're seeing. I'm Gianfranco Pocobene. I'm the head of conservation here, and my specialty is actually working on the paintings collection. And we're on the 4th floor of the new wing of the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum. And this is the Conservation Center where we basically conserve, preserve, and restore the works of art that are in the collection. And we happen to be working at this moment on this Crivelli painting.
So the last time that we looked at this picture together in the gallery, we were much further away, the lighting was different. Some work has been done by Gianfranco since then. So just as we look at it here in the conservation lab, anything new that you were noticing?
Well, I can see now that it's on a wood panel, and I can't really tell if it's tempera or oil, but I was wondering, given that it's on wood panel and it looks like there's a lot that has been damaged or coming off, how does that affect conserving it?
The reason we're working on it actually is related to the fact that we're having an exhibition on this artist, and this happens to be one of the centerpieces of the show. And one of the problems that I noticed as a conservator, but although we talk about this between us in terms of curatorial and conservation, is that these old restorations no longer match the original surface. This painting actually has not been worked on since 1935. That was the last time it was worked on. I actually have removed the varnish that was put on here and removed some of the old restorations, so you see damages are starting to appear. Those were there before that. We have photographs from 1935 which show condition, which was much like this. Your first question was concerning what the medium is, and in this case it is egg tempera. So it's egg yolks mixed with pigments and applied to the surface, and it dries to a very hard, resilient surface. And in spite of the damages that you see, this is like 445 years old, and it's pretty intact. And it also, much of the original gold leaf in the sky is present. Where we're at now is we've removed the varnish, most of the distracting overpaint that was applied to it. And then I'm going to go back in, apply a new varnish layer to it, which will be very stable, won't yellow. And the intent then is that that varnish should last easily 100 years. And then I'll go back in and start touching in painting, as we call it, these abrasions and damages to reunify the composition. But I think people are still not quite aware of the degree to which the surface has been worked to create this kind of texture. There's a regular light photograph of the horse's head and St. George's head, and this is a snapshot of an imaging technique that we use to capture the topography of the surface. And basically we're able, with the computers and software, to remove the color information. What this tells you actually, I think of how much effort went into figuring out where all these reliefs were going to go before you even start applying paint or gold to the surface. And it speaks to like really methodical kind of working technique and composition. It's a really laborious one step after another process that these painters of this period were really into.
It is really important. It's one of the things that makes Crivelli very unusual as a painter. Already at this time in the 1470s, he's still using a lot of this surface relief work. So here in the chainmail, here in the armor, on the arm and the elbows, he's using it in the sword, on the pommel of the sword, and on the guard, the cross guard, and he's using it on the horse's harness. That's not just for decorative value to show that he could do it. He wants your eye to be attracted to all of the texture because the protagonist of this panel, of this episode, is St. George. He was able to attract your attention to St. George without you even knowing it.
Pastiglia were intended to be there to give the surface relief. And remember, it's not a static situation. You walk up to the altarpiece, and as you do that, these surfaces are catching the light in very different ways, and they'll be shimmering and glistening. And it's quite a magical moment. So it's not something you could achieve with a flat surface. I think what's really useful in these conversations, because sometimes the work of a curator and art historian can be siloed away, and our research and analysis can be, again, its own thing. It all should come together into some sort of broader, more expansive, open-minded kind of conversation about all the things we're seeing.